morning.
Morning, week number 65
How
of
you
the show.
doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. But I know we need to apologize ahead of time today because we're both having a little bit of internet issues. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
if,
I'm not sure what's going on. I'm with Coach Go, and usually my internet is pretty solid, but today it's just dropping on and off, and I'm the show moderator, so
yeah,
I'm in the studio, so if I disappear, everything disappears. So hopefully we'll be fine.
yeah, keep our fingers crossed and we don't have, scenes where your mouth is wide open and you're frozen.
Yep. Yeah. So, hey, I'm enjoying this weather.
I know. I guess you've been sitting out for the last hour. I didn't even make it outside yet today.
If my internet would have been better, I would have been outside doing the show today. I'm gonna try to set that up for next week. This is so beautiful. I love it. I love the sun, the heat. Like I love it all.
And I love the sun, but I don't love the heat.
Oh man, if it was like this all the time, I'd be in heaven. Like I love it.
Well, I know I sit outside sometimes too because I've got the little secret garden with all the shade, the lilac trees and stuff. And I did actually put June's paper together in my secret
Outside.
garden on that last day. It was beautiful. It
Yeah,
makes such a difference being outside
it
and working
does. It does.
versus sitting at a desk inside. It's just, I don't know, it just energizes, right?
It does. Yesterday we went to a hike. Like we went hiking anyways. I didn't take the little ones. I took only my 16-year-old because
Mm-hmm.
it was a bit hot. The other guys would have probably died.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I took Mateo and we went around Ottawa and we went to this hike. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's about an hour and 20 minutes away from here, and it's such a nice conservation area. Like we had this little chipmunk who was showing us the path for about
Oh.
5 minutes. Like he would walk up the path and then he would wait, turn around, look at us, then we'd walk all the way to him, and then
Mhm.
he would take off and go a little further, and then he'd wait for us and turn around, look if we were going. It was so cute. And they had squirrels and ducks and birds that were coming super close to you. It was awesome. It was really, really
Wow.
nice. And I love being so close to nature. It really feeds my spirit.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just great. And it was hot. It was really hot, but I love it.
Oh, I know it was hot because yesterday, well, I went to the market in the morning. We'll talk about that later. And then I went onto our property after that till about, well, 6 o'clock and helped clean brush and I'll do all that good stuff. And then we just sat on our chairs, like with everything, all the nature around us, just listening to the beetles and the birds and smelling the smells of the woods. It's just, I don't know, it's just wonderful. It's like a different world, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
So we have a great show today. We have actually it's a heavy topic. It's
Mm-hmm.
been in the news for the last week, and but it needs to be addressed. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be um, taken from under the rug and
Yeah.
put in public light, so we can find what we can do to help the healing. So, of course, I'm talking about the 215 little bodies that were found at a residential school last week. I'm tearing up just talking about it.
I know, I know, I know. Well, I actually attended the walk, and it was one of those. I had something else I needed to do, but once I got there and just feeling all the emotions and stuff, I ended up doing the entire walk because I just felt like I needed to, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
just for these
yeah.
kids.
It's one of those things that are. It's kind of like the march last year for the Black Lives Matter. It's
Hmm.
one of those things that you have to acknowledge and you
Yeah,
have to do. And the hardest part is that oftentimes, something will happen. This comes up in the media and you
yeah,
hear about it, and then it's just swooped back under the rug, and then you don't hear about it until the next thing happens,
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to talk with a very nice guest. You had the pleasure of meeting her, so I'm going to let you introduce her.
I did. We're going to be talking to Gina Lazor. And for all those people that have driven by St. Columban's on 4th Street, you'll have seen a memorial that was set up and lots of teddy bears lined the steps. Gina was there pretty well every day talking to people and, helping everybody heal from this.
Raise
And
awareness
Gina,
and everything.
what's that?
Raise the awareness and everything.
Yes, exactly. Raise the awareness of what happened in Kamloops, BC. And Gina is actually quite close to there because she had a lot of her relatives go to that school. But we're going to have her talk about it.
Yeah. Before we bring her in, I just want to say something. I had for all my life. I'm like, I'm not going to say how old I am, but all of my life, I had no idea this was even a thing. I've never been taught in school that this was a thing. I've never been told by adults in my white life that this was a thing. And I found out about this year by my son Mateo, who's 16, who actually was given the book Indian Horse to read in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so touched by the story that he told me, Mom, you absolutely have to read this book. And I read the book, and even though it is a fictional story,
Mm-hmm.
it is actually a fictional story that is based on real stories. And oh my God, like this was such an eye-opener for me. I talked about it on the show months ago. I told everybody that they had to read this book. And this is the first encounter I had with the fact that residential schools were a thing. I did not know. I did not know. So anyways, it's a shame that this part of her story was so well hidden. I'm mad that, anyways, we'll bring her in and she can talk about her story.
Perfect.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Georgina.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a really emotional week.
Yes.
I took a day yesterday just to sit back and relax and enjoy my grandchildren and embrace them and hug them and watch them play amongst other children. It was a really beautiful day yesterday that I just took time to relax for myself. It was much needed.
Yeah, it must have been, because it's been an emotional week, an emotional day, I'm sure, on Saturday.
Very emotional.
Yeah. So let's talk about residential schools. Let's talk about where you fit in that story. Let's hear your story.
Well, I just like to start off by introducing myself again. My name is Georgina Lazor. I am from the Squamish First Nations. In the white name for that is Pavilion, and it's near the Lowit community. So I grew up in the community of Lowit. I went to school with all the children in the community of Lowit. I am happily now I'm happy that I am the first generation in my family that never attended the schools, thanks to my parents. However, there was times where I cried to go to the schools, because at the end of summers, all my friends, all my cousins, all my aunties, all my uncles, they were all taken away on the bus. It was later on, they weren't ripped out of the mother's arms at this time, but they were literally going on a bus and they were being taken away. And I remember crying saying, well, I want to go just because all my friends were going. I never knew there was a bad thing about it, because my family never talked about it, even though there was 6 generations before myself that attended these schools. And they never talked about it. My granny never talked about it. My mom never talked about it. My uncles and aunties never talked about it. The only everything I ever got out of one of my uncles when I was growing up was he was the youngest out of my mom's side, and he mentioned running away running away at. He must have been about 10 years old, and he ran away from the school. And there was the actual Kamloops Indian residential school that he ran away from. And he made it approximately 24, 25 kilometers on foot, him and two other young boys. So that's the background that I have, and that's how close it is to home for me. So when I realized, when I heard about the 215 children, the first day I heard about it, it just kind of went right over my head. It didn't even hit me. It didn't even hit me until a couple of days later, I started really seeing what was happening and what was being said on social media. And then I was like, what the hell, you know, what is this real? And I was like in shock at first. When I first originally heard about it, I was in shock, and I didn't even understand the concept of it. And like I said, it took me a couple of days for it to actually hit me. And then when it did, the tears just rolled, and there were tears for the children, there were tears for the mothers, but there was also tears that we could all finally, us survivors that have been knowing the truth for years and years, we could finally speak about it, and we could really let the public know that this really happened, you know, and nobody can call us liars no more.
Yeah. I want to interrupt you for 1 second. I want to ask, so your parents, grandparents, and everything, where did they go to residential school? Were they in Kamloops?
Kamloops Indian Residential School, and some of the family went to the Mission Indian Residential School also down the Vancouver area.
So this is super, super close to you. This is like, this could have been your parents, your grandparents, your family members that could have been in those 215.
That's correct, yes.
Wow.
And just to reiterate that, just because you brought that up, my mom actually remembers being, and I'm telling you, my mom never ever talked about this, but since this all started and I started going to the river, I contacted my mom, and I contact her daily now, and I talk to her. And she never talked about it, like, and when she did first start talking about it with me, she started trying to remember the good times. So she remembers she took part in dances. So she traveled with dance classes through the residential school. So she was trying to remember the good times of it, and that's all she was trying to remember. But with the 215 children being found, she started remembering things, and it's taken her a while. Like, she's only talked like even just minimal things to me. And the thing that stood out to me most was, again, the Rosemary Adolph that was found, one of the names of the 51 that's already been mentioned so far. My mom remembers being in the infirmary with her. My mom was just a little girl, and she always wondered, what happened to her? Where did she go? Now she knows, because she was one of the 51 names that were mentioned so far. And there was only 51 out of 215 children, only 51 names have been mentioned so far.
So, wow. A viewer is saying that it's a minimum of 215. So let's clarify that it is a minimum of 215 bodies that were found. It could be more.
That's correct. It could definitely be more, because we have to remember this is only one of 147 schools in Canada. And right now, one of the ones in Nova Scotia are also taking the initiative on their own. They are not going to wait for the government. They have already started their search on their residential grounds. So that's another one that's already started. And there's going to be many more that's going to search. We have 147 schools to search.
Wow.
I find it really, really interesting that you say about your mom that she didn't talk about it, and that she actually started remembering things, because that's one of the big things, right? Is that when you're hurt that much, the defense mechanism kicks in, and I know I'm the same way. There's stuff that happened to me in my life that I just probably chose to completely forget, and it doesn't even compare, you know. So I know that when your defense mechanism kicks in, you probably just bury this stuff so deep
Mm-hmm.
that you completely avoid seeing it, completely avoid, and then you don't talk about it. So I think that and then you combine that with the shame, because you feel shame. It's, you didn't do anything wrong, but you feel shame. And so that's probably why we
I
didn't
have
hear from your side.
I have many examples. Like another example, just within my own family, that I'd like to share is I remember being a little girl. Well, not a little girl now, maybe a teenager going into my teenage years, 12, 13 years old. And at that time, powwows were starting to be held in our community. And I was interested and I wanted to know, because even though I'm Native, I never realized I was Native, you know? I knew I had different color skin, but I never really realized the concept that I was Native, because again, getting back to my example, being 12, 13 years old and trying to go to powwows, and my mom coming in there and dragging me out of there, dragging me out of there, dragging me out of a powwow. And I never knew why. She just always come and take me away from there. And I could never understand it. And then just to carry on to that example is a few years later, when I got a little bit older and I got tired of being drugged out of the powwows, I turned to alcohol and drugs. I started going hang out with other people and I started drinking and partying. Do you think my mom come to look for me then? Fortunately not.
Yeah, it's yeah, so many lives have been broken, so many, like, my heart's really broken. Like, I can't even imagine how they got away with stuff like that.
Well, we were
Like,
talking about like being mothers ourselves. Like, how could these parents even? I like to have your child taken away from your house, and young children, not the children don't even know where they're going or why
Mm-hmm.
they're being taken away, and the parents have no control. To me,
Exactly.
and as
oh
a
my
mother,
goodness,
honestly, like, open my chest and rip my heart
yeah,
from it. I'd rather that than my kids being taken away from me.
yeah.
So that the fact that the government funded this, that they were behind it, that they wanted to, they did pretty much whatever they wanted. There's a saying that goes, the only thing needed for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing.
Hmm.
That is all. That is all. That's, we've seen it in history many, many times, and it is true.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's talk about the march and who was behind that march, and
That
why
was
was.
really incredible because again, my journey started at the St. Lawrence River. I don't know if you girls know that, but as the days went on and I was feeling so much hurt and so much anger and so much confusion, on Sunday night, me and my daughter, we were out and we went out to do something that night, and the river just kind of dragged me over there, because I've always loved the water ever since I was a little girl. I always found strength in the water, and I always went to the water. And so I first went down to the docks over here, the harbor, and there was too many people there. So then I went looking for another place to go where I could say a prayer. And I ended up going down to right there to where the march ended. It's so ironic on how it ended there, because that's where it started there. So I started there, said a prayer there. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch my video there, my live, because I've shared it everywhere, my very first video. And then from there, I came home, and I still had no idea what I was going to do or what had to be done. But in my heart, I knew some kind of awareness had to be brought to the Cornwall people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because living here for the last 30 years, I know that there's a lot of unawareness. I know there's a lot of racism, and there's just a lot of things that aren't being talked about. And so I decided for myself, I says, well, I'm going to do something and I'm going to start bringing awareness to the city of Cornwall. And I'm going to start by finding a church and I'm going to go sit in front of that church to let them know that the Roman Catholic Church was partly responsible for the deaths of 215 innocent children, plus more to come. So I went there. I asked my daughters to come with me. I have 5 daughters, and 2 of them were working, and actually 3 of them were working. So the 2 youngest came out with me on Monday night, and I had prepared some clothing that represented 5 of the 215 children, just to give the city of Cornwall, an idea of how young these children were. And I also put on those clothings. I marked things like we had a name, we had a family that loved us. I was only 3 years old, things like that, just to bring awareness to the extent of what the government had done. And I had also made all the signs that are on the church there. My youngest daughter had helped me. And so we went and set up there, and we didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know how long I was going to sit there, but I just felt like I had to bring some kind of awareness to Cornwall. And then the next day I woke up and then I seen Tara's message about wanting to put a march together. Tara and I do know each other through her sister. So I was like, wow. And she's like, I just don't know where to start. And I said, well, I'm sitting at St. Columban's Church. Let's go. And that was the beginning of it. Tara came to meet me that day. And incredibly, just more people, like Tara brought it all together for me. She just like, I just want you to do what you're doing here. She's like, I think you're bringing awareness. You want people to know what happened. She's like, but I want to start a march. And if you'd like, I could start it here. And I said, I'd love it if you start it here.
Yeah, because whenever I talked to you too, and I asked you why St. Columban's, why that particular church, the reason you had it there was because you feel it's central and easily accessible to everybody.
Yeah, and because it was a Catholic church, and also because it had a nice big parking lot in case I had a lot of support.
And you did.
I was really happy. The city of Cornwall is amazing. Like, I'm really proud to call Cornwall my home now, because I really wasn't sure again where this was going to go, what was going to become of it. But seeing the support on Saturday was totally tremendous. It really touched my heart. I had people come up to me that I worked with, and they are totally 100% supportive of me.
That's awesome. And it's a beginning.
Yeah.
And it's great that it's a beginning.
It is just a beginning, but where do we go from here? Because the government itself, they're still working on us. They have what's called the white paper policy now, that's been brought and introduced to us in 1969 by Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And that white paper policy is to take all our rights away, to take the reservations away that they gave us, to kill all the treaties that they signed with us. And that policy is still on the table even today with his son, Trudeau.
Wow.
And with Justin Trudeau. And also, I was thinking something. It all does come back to the residential schools. Everything that's happening even today, what's going on.
And just to put in perspective, like, people always have this idea that, okay, we're talking about something that happened, because there was a comment on Facebook and I was so mad at it, because somebody had said, well, okay, let's focus on the future. This was a long time ago, is the past. And this was not a long time ago. The last residential school closed in 1996.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about hundreds of years. I mean, it went on for hundreds of years, but it's not something that is that far away. I mean, my ancestors were part of my recent ancestors were part of that era, you know. I want to relate a little story to you. So when I was a kid, we had a cottage on Indian land. And my parents, and that's how, you know, us white people see this situation, because we're not made aware of it. We don't know it. Like as a little girl, I did not know better, right? I mean, I was like 3 years old, I think. So it was on, reservation, and we would go there every summer. And the cottage would always get vandalized. And my parents would just, you know, I don't know if I should say bitch on, online. But anyways, my parents would complain, and they would curse, and they would, you know, they would say, oh, you know, they would use slurs, and they would be mad at natives for vandalizing the cottage. Well, little did I know that, you know, they had every reason to vandalize this cottage that was put on their land without their permission. You know, I had no idea this was a thing, you know. And only
it's really sad. It's really sad that a lot of people thought we were dead. And like, even myself, like I said, I just got to go back to myself. Like, for even though I knew I was a different color, I didn't truly understand that I was Native. And that only came about in 1990 when I was 22 years old. The Oka crisis came up, and my father, Butch Bob, was a chief back then. And he really took the support of the Mohawk people. My father's always been really into the land rights and defending the land rights and the people's rights, our rights. And again, that just goes to show you that even though my father was chief for many years, I still didn't grasp the concept that I was a Native person until 1990.
Wow.
Until 1990, and I was 22 years old. I'm 53 years old now, so I've only had that little bit of short time to really start understanding who I am as a Native person, as a Ujamuos person.
Wow.
See, and that's what the goal was, right? We keep seeing in the media that those schools were there to kill the Indian in them.
They were,
you know.
Yep.
So that really, like, how conflicting it must be to, you know, try to reconcile all these thoughts about Christianity, about your Native spirituality, about you, who you are. Like, I can't even imagine the harm that was done. Like, it's
like say the harm that was done to try and wipe
the harm, not arm.
Yeah, the harm, the
harm.
harm. Yeah, to wipe everything out. Because I had read a little story from somebody too that was, I think they were 15 years old, and they were working in the kitchen, and they accidentally said something in the native language, and as punishment, they had 4 fingernails pulled out.
Yes.
I'm like, how is that even possible for anybody to do that? Because exactly, and that shows that they were just trying to stamp out Native, the heritage, everything. And like you were saying, that the children went there, they were not even given it, like, called by their name. They were given a number. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. It's
how horrific.
It's nothing short of a genocide, really.
Yeah.
Cultural genocide.
Yep, it is.
It is.
And it's turning into genocide because of the 215 that have been found, plus the more that are going to be found. And then we have to also remember that it's all in North America, not just Canada.
I know. Yeah.
So,
that's what I've learned also this week, that it is much further than just Canada. It's like everywhere.
mm-hmm.
So,
but I mean, again, I can't even imagine a parent, because it was Tara that was putting some of the comments, and she was putting that the parents could be arrested and put in jail if they didn't let the children go.
Yeah.
Like,
it could have been
awful.
Yeah.
So where do we go from now? I know there were some apologies given. Like, to me, I feel that it's not enough. Like,
No.
you know, it's not enough.
It's just really overwhelming. Like, you just even me, I'm thinking, like, where do we go from here? What do we do? I know in my heart what I want, and I've always wanted, is that we all walk in unity now. Like, we have no choice. We're all here. We all live in this world
Yeah.
together. And we're all humans. We all bleed the same. We all cry the same. We all have the same feelings of anger, peace, happiness, joy, love.
Yeah. We should all be able to live in harmony. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So where do you see this going?
It's going to have to be a lot of hard work from a lot of people. It's going to have to be a lot of stories. There's going to have to be a lot of
Education.
education. That's
Yes.
the word I was looking for. There's just the education's going to have to continue. Like, there's a whole history that has to be retaught. The proper history has to be retaught.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Okay, so we have an interesting comment. It's not enough at all. Nothing can bring back the children or erase what happened, but we can move forward and we can finally get our own. Okay, I can't even pronounce that. Sorry, I'm so sorry. People started on their healing journey. Yes, so healing is a big part of it, and you're right. We cannot change history, but we certainly can start teaching it the way it happened, because that's the main thing, right? What angers me is the fact that I've never heard of this in school, and I was going to school when it was happening. So I'm glad to see that my son is actually in a school where they actually started to teach these things. But it needs to be a lot more than just that. It needs to be more than just one course in 1 year of high school.
That's right.
And it's I think it was not even, I'm not even sure if it was mandatory class or not, but either way, it needs to be taught from elementary school, the real story about what happened when people came here, when French people came here and took this land. So
we got a lot of work ahead of us. That's the way I look at it. There's like I was telling my husband yesterday, like, this is just coming out now. I said, we got generations and generations of healing to do here. Like, we're gonna start it, but healing's gonna be for a long, long time in this world. Like, we're going back right to the first Prime Minister of Canada. Well, right to Sir A. John Macdonald. That's who came out with this whole policy. And then the white paper is being carried on by Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and his son Justin Trudeau is still trying to carry that white paper out.
Wow.
So I would think that one of the thing that needs to be done is kill that white paper. That needs to be killed.
That's where I think that's where we could get the support of everybody in Canada, is to write and let's kill that white paper. Let's get rid of that white paper. That would be definitely a start. The other part is to continue reaching out to the Roman Catholic Church and letting them know that you are responsible.
Yeah.
I guess another important thing I wanted to mention is BC. BC is pretty well all of BC is unceded territory. We never had treaties with the government. We've never had treaties. Where I come from, we're unceded territory. I actually wanted to read the declaration at my speech, but it turned out that there wasn't a speaker set. But there is a declaration of the Loa people that I wanted to share with everybody, and maybe I can share it on the Seeker there someday.
Yes.
That way everybody can see the declaration of the Loa people, because it's really important to know that not all of us signed treaties. And even the ones that did sign treaties, they were broken as soon as they were signed. For example, the Mohawk people, I married into the Mohawks here. My husband's a full Mohawk, and I married into them, and their treaty with the government was the two-row wampum. And the most important part about the two-row wampum, you stay in your vessel, we'll steer our vessel. Let's work together, and we could live in harmony. But as soon as that treaty was signed, that treaty was broken, because they still had their policy to distinguish us, to kill us cultural, to take our culture genocide away. And I also know you guys' program is about positivity, so I'm going to bring some positivity here, because part of their plan was to make sure that none of our people were successful. They said that we could never be successful. But you know what? We have judges, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have nurses, we have social workers, we have teachers, we have politicians. So to me, that's a positive, because I do have to start looking at the positive, because if I continue looking at the negative, it's not going to bring me anywhere. So I have to start saying, yeah, although you guys wanted to kill us, we still took what my grandpa Sam told me. He's like, child. He's like, no matter what. He's like, you learn the foreigner's way. You learn the foreigner's way, because they're not learning our way. He's like, we'll always have the advantage. He's like, so you learn their way. So my grandpa Sam put that in my head. You learn the foreigner's way, and one day we're going to use it against them. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. We're going to show the government that even though you didn't want us to be successful, we have many, many successful people out there.
And that's an awesome positive message.
It is.
But also, you know, this is Monday morning motivation. And I sure hope that your story has motivated the hell out of people to take a stand and stand with you guys and really move forward and put pressure on our government.
Yeah.
So,
my husband is asking if he can jump on and say something.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Introduce. His name is Roger Lazor. That's my husband.
I know. I met him at the church on Saturday.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could just inform the white population, like
You're
you,
live.
That's fine.
I want you to understand the white paper. It's connected to the residential schools, and along with the Pope and the government and the first Prime Minister of Canada.
I will definitely dig into that.
We want the white population to know what's going on with that white paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
all
again, that was something that we didn't even know
See,
about.
never heard of it before this morning.
That's
So,
what I mean. Nobody knows.
No.
yep, I'm definitely going to dig into that one and research it. And anything we can do, please get in touch with us. We'll gladly, if you want to do a video about that declaration that you're saying, Georgina, we can post it on our Facebook page. We can help spread the message. You know, we have the vehicle, so why not? Like we're 100% behind you.
Thank you.
Yes. My husband's actually from Texas, but he's from the Aztec tribe. He's like 50% Aztec. So and it's funny because before I was with him, and he looks native, so he gets the racism here, right? Before I was with him, I've never really experienced this. I did not see the prejudice because, you know, when you're white and you're privileged and you're going through life in your white privilege status, you're oblivious to all this. You don't notice it because unless somebody points it out to you and raises the awareness, you don't see it. So when he actually moved here, I started seeing how white people are treating natives, and I started seeing with my kids too, because my kids are all looking native as well, you know, so they get it as well.
Yeah.
And as a mother, it's like heartbreaking to see the prejudice.
That's going to be the hardest one to break, is the prejudice and the racism. And I really don't know how, because just for an example, my daughter came here yesterday and she was upset because she had gotten a message from her cousin, and her cousin was out shopping at Fresco yesterday morning trying to shop for her family for the week, and was approached by a gentleman and was attacked, like racially attacked. And she ended up just leaving her groceries and walking out. So I I don't know how we can change that. I don't know how we can reach some of the people, because some of the people, they're just so indoctrinated in their own beliefs.
And I want to say that in this area, the racism towards natives is probably the most prominent from all races.
Mhm.
Like I mean, there's racism and prejudice for Native American people, for like not Native Americans, sorry, African Americans,
Mhm.
Middle Eastern. There is some racism to some level, but I think the most racism is really aimed towards Native Americans.
Mhm.
It's sad to see. Anyways,
Well, at the end of the walk too, with the closing, I can't remember who it was that was speaking. The gentleman was saying that, we live so close to each other, we need to be able to get along with each other, and it's
Yeah.
true.
and it all goes
It's
back
so
to
true.
tolerance, right? We need
Yeah.
we need to be tolerant.
Yeah.
And accepting of other cultures. It's not threatening. We need to realize it's not a threat,
No.
Right.
It's live and let live, and let other people be. Anyways,
Yeah.
Georgina, I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
No
And your
problem.
husband popping in for a little bit too, because I know he was guiding you from in the background. We
Yeah,
could hear him.
he's a really big support. He's been amazing. Like even he didn't know what the hell I was up to. Like I don't even think I did. I just did. I followed what my heart did,
Yeah.
and it all came together the way it should have been. I just like to mention too, for a lot of people, if you're really wanting to learn a little bit more, there is a movie out there, and it's called "We Were Only Children."
Okay.
Very, very good movie that would give everybody an explanation, a little bit more explanation of what happened and what the children experienced.
That's awesome. So I'm going to put a list of resources that I'm going to put up on the website today. I'm going to put like the links to the books, the movies, and the white papers. I don't know if they're downloadable
White paper
somewhere,
policy,
but I'll
1969 white paper policy. That's what it's called.
perfect.
It was first introduced by Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and it's still being pursued by his son Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister today.
Perfect. We'll put that all up today, and I thank you again for being with us. Have a fantastic day.
Awesome. Thank you all for having me. Cornwall community, you guys are tremendous. I'm really happy, and I feel proud that Cornwall is my home today.
And I'm so happy that we connected.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. Everybody have a lovely day. Peace, love, and joy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
What a story. Man,
Yeah.
I was my tears running down my cheeks the whole damn time. Anyways,
No, I know it was going to be a more heavy
it was
duty
an
than
emotional it's an emotional thing, but like I said, our show is called Monday Morning Motivation.
Yeah.
So motivation takes a lot of different meanings, and I hope this motivated people to see the story for what it is, and face it, own it, accept it, and
I have such a hard time. Like she was saying that her cousin, well, a member of the family, I think her daughter's cousin or something, had gone and was attacked at Freshco. I could not even imagine doing something like that, because we are all supposed to live together in harmony. I just don't understand why people can't.
Yeah.
But there are some people, and like she says, it's going to be a hard job to change their mindset.
It is, and we'll do our best to be behind that and try
Exactly.
to help and educate. All right. So,
But I do want to mention that we are not just going to leave it at this, because next Monday we're going to have Tara Francis on the show with us. She's gonna come on the show, and she's gonna talk about a fundraiser that she's working on right now. And Tara was actually the brains behind the walk.
Okay.
But unfortunately, she did do the walk, but in a wheelchair, because on Wednesday she had surgery on her leg. I was just talking to her a little while ago, and she's healing, but she was just not well enough to stand there and talk and everything. But she's going to join us next Monday and talk about this a bit more, because
Awesome.
her and Georgina were together in this venture.
Great. All right. So now it's time
For
cut it short because I didn't edit it again. So,
Oh, so you didn't put the right
okay.
food in. So I'm just
No,
going
I
to give
didn't
a
put the
little
right food in.
background on this one too. Now, on Sunday, the Waterfront Farmers Market took place. This was yesterday at the Civic Complex parking lot. And I got to say, what an amazing setup, organized so well by Brenda Norman and Tom Manley, and so visible. Like, what a great place, because you drove by and you saw all these tents.
Where was it exactly? In the
It
parking
was
lot?
actually in the parking lot at the Civic Complex. So
Okay.
it was not something that you could miss. Like, there was a sea of white tents, so you knew something was going on.
Uh-huh.
So there was a lot of people attended, and all the the physical distancing and the mask wearing and the hand sanitizing, everybody had to do all that. It was all governed by the Eastern Ontario Health Unit. All the policies were in effect for the safety for COVID, and it was so well done. Like, there was so many vendors, and I went in to check them all out, and I am going to do an out and about it just today, so I'll post it. But I was on the lookout for something that we were wanting to be doing, is finding local foods to munch on and test. And so I came across a booth, and I talked to the two guys. It's called Elevated Eats. There they are. Now, I had a bit of a hard time because right now, for photo purposes, they were not wearing their masks. But of course, they were wearing the mask when I was talking to them. So I'm like, who was I talking to? I know the guy in the black shirt. His name is, Tyler Green.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Elaine Maltese. I hope I'm saying it right. And there's a third person involved, and she's the pastry chef, and her name is Jordan Phillips. So she wasn't there, but she did make part of what we're going to be testing. She made what's called the Parker House Rolls. She made the bread for us. And the other part...
Okay, I'm going to get back on the big screen so people
Yeah,
can
get on the
see
big
it.
screen, and make sure you
so
take
this is-
pictures
Yes.
before we
Okay.
take it apart, because we've got
Okay.
a report on it. So we've got some rolls, but what really got my attention was bacon flavored jam.
Okay.
And that is what is in these little jars, bacon flavored jam.
So we know that bacon is everything. Bacon is life, right?
Well, I'm trying to visualize what it could taste like, because I like my bacon. I don't eat it often, but it has to be very crispy. So I'm not sure. Is it going to be crispy bacon taste or something?
Good question. I'm gonna.
And I
open
know you said
pack
that.
of- oh, that
Can
looks
you read
good.
the ingredients that are on it? Obviously,
I
there's
can't.
bacon.
It's too.
Do you have a loop?
No, I don't have a loop.
And I had a label on mine, and I don't know what happened to it. The label's gone, but I do have a loop. So I think what we'll do is we'll contact the guys at Elevated Eats, and we'll find out
I
exactly
see
what's in it.
garlic, bacon, onion, garlic, rosemary, thyme, maple, vinegar, sugar, paprika, chili powder, and pepper. Salt and pepper, and something barbecue. I can't see the rest, but it looks good to me. Let's smell it.
All right. Oh, wait.
Oh, I want to show the little bread. It's kind of like...
Oh, I didn't even
Nice.
open mine yet. Take
See the
pictures. Are you taking pictures?
I did.
I
And
left
then
my
the
phone
jam.
on the in the other office because I didn't want it to ring in here, so I don't have
Oh,
anything
let's
to take
see
pictures
this
of.
jam.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this jam. It looks delicious.
Now, they were telling me that some people put it on their burgers and...
Oh, yeah,
Ooh,
I could see
whoa.
that. Okay, I'm going to smell the... Oh, that smells good.
It smells really good, but it almost kind of has a chili kind of a smell, do you think?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a bit of a spicy smell?
Oh, are you going to be okay?
I'm hoping. I just want to
It
kind of
smells lovely.
I'd like to put a candle wick in there and light it and kind of put that smell through my house. It's a
Okay,
really
I'm
nice
going to
smell.
break the bread. Here we go. And I'm going to put some jam on my little piece of bread here.
Oh, these breads are so cute.
They are. Well, I'm ready to go when you are. This is my bite. Check it
Oh, I
out.
can see onion in there.
Check out my bite.
How much did you put? Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah, I want to taste it.
Wait a minute. I'll palm
It smells so good.
Oh, I can see the bits of bacon in here.
That smells so good.
Oh, I can between the roll and the jam, it does smell good.
All right, are you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
3.
Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah, it's just a really nice overall.
It's not spicy at all.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, there's no spice, so it's really nice.
Yeah, because it's a jam, right? So you would think it's sweet, and it is sweet.
Lots of pieces of bacon in it.
Lots of pieces of bacon and lots of flavor. It's very, very flavorful. I could see that on a hamburger. That would be really delicious on a hamburger.
Or crackers or things like that. That's really good.
There's real nice balance of sweet and savory in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And everything that you read, we could pronounce. So the main thing is in ingredients. My mother always said, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it. Everything you read was easily pronounced. So it's all relatively healthy.
Oh my God, my husband's going to love this.
Yeah. You're going to have to hide it if you want to keep it.
Well, I hid it yesterday because I was afraid it was not going to be there this morning because it says bacon, right? Anything that says bacon in my house goes like this. So.
Yeah, look at it. It looks, it's really, oh, wait, there we go. Wow.
Bacon jam.
Keep taking pictures and send them to me. We got to do our post.
Who would have known bacon jam?
Well, that's why when I heard them talking about it, it's like my ears perked up and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Because, you have raspberry, strawberry, like all those jams, but bacon jam. Very, very good. And these are like two guys and a girl that are starting this business, and they make different foods like this. And they're going to be at the farmers market on Sunday.
What else did you see that they make?
You know what? There was so much stuff there that
I see some oils on the picture that you. I'm going to put the picture back.
Yeah,
on.
put the picture up.
I see lots of jams. I see. I think some ketchups and mustards, maybe.
Well, they make custom food too. So if you've got anything that you can't tolerate, they'll work around it. They'll, customize things so you can eat it. They were also, where was I going with this? Jesus, lost my train of thought. Oh boy,
I'm
senior
sorry.
moment.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
They were also taking recommendations of things that people would like to see. They would make it. And I know one thing. Slippery jacks was what I told them. I cannot find these anywhere. They're actually pickles made with the cucumbers. When the cucumbers go yellow and they kind of get overripe. Well, I'm not going to say ex-father-in-law because he's still my father-in-law, right, from my previous marriage. But he loved slippery jacks, and that was a huge thing. So whenever we could find them, he just loved them.
Wow.
But there's so many pickling places that don't know what they are. And these guys didn't know, but they're certainly going to look into it. So hopefully they'll be producing those. So check out their website, elevatedeats.ca.
And are they going to be at the farmers market?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They're going to be at the farmers market next Sunday. I think it looks like they're going to be a permanent vendor.
Yeah.
So check that out. Farmers market is every Sunday from now until October. And it's on from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was I thought it was just wonderful. It was very well set up. With
Cool.
COVID, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but the organizers certainly made it work.
Well, that's good. That's very good.
So, rating. What do we rate this at?
I'll
1 to
give
10.
I'll give it a solid 9.5.
I'd like to give it a solid 10.5. It's really good, folks.
Yeah,
Really
it
good.
is. It is. It's like you said, I think it would go very well on a charcuterie board,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like, sometimes you see a little bit of honey that is being served with like the cheeses and the crackers and the meats. Like this would go super well in that combination.
It would. It's yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna have to finish it for the rest of my breakfast, even though I already had breakfast.
There you go. All right. Well, you know what? It's almost 11. That's that time of day.
Wow, time flew by.
Time flew
Time
by.
flies when you're having fun.
Yep. Don't forget, if you have any events, you can go on our website at theseeker.ca and click on events, and then you can click on submit your event. Things are going to start reopening, so you can go and advertise your happenings for free in that calendar of events. Don't hesitate. And if you have anything you want us to try for food, just send an email to info@theseeker.ca.
Wonderful. Because we do want to eventually get back to our 4 pages of events and happenings and let people know
Hopefully.
what's coming up. But I'm seeing a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
It's starting to look a little more active, so that'll be nice.
And I think yesterday was really nice because people have not been going anywhere for so long. And the farmers market was there, but there was a steady trickle
That's good.
all
That's
day
good.
long. So nobody was kind of crowding near each other or anything. So it was super nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, have yourself a great day, people.
And have yourself a super duper week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.